Are you too shiny? No. First off, you're not too shiny, period. We're meant to shine. We're meant to take up space. We're meant to be seen. We're meant to stand out in whatever way you choose, right? It doesn't mean you have to be in front of millions of people, but we are meant to shine and we're meant to be seen in our fullest. This is part two of a talk I did. So if you haven't seen part one, how well do you receive? Check that out. It's the video below. In this shorter segment, I am going to share with you really how even the most subtle shrinking can limit your opportunities, can limit your recognition, can limit your income, and ultimately the impact that you want to make in the world. How subtle this diminishing of yourself and dimming your light can be. Sometimes it's really hard to recognize. So, I'm going to be sharing my experience around shutting down my own standing out and shrinking myself. And I share this because a lot of people see themselves in my story. And you'll also learn or understand what's going to happen for you externally when you start to shift this hidden vow to not stand out too much, to not be seen, and to not be too shiny. Can't wait to share this with you. So, the next piece I want to touch on really is allowing yourself to be seen, to stand out, to take up space, to toot your own horn, to be shiny, to own the value of what you do. Because that is another piece of what is going to allow more flow to come into your experience. Again, whether that's money, income, praise, opportunity, growth, all of the above, right? Impact, visibility, all of these things. Because diminishing yourself or dimming your light or not allowing yourself to shine too much, all of these can actually be subtle or not so subtle blocks to your abundance and money and income. To really truly be of service, we need to take up space. You need to take up space. And I just want to share one more little story, my story, my journey around this, because I do know what it's like to diminish and to dim myself a little bit. While I've always been really confident in what I'm offering and what I do, and my passion for what I'm doing, and really lined up with my purpose, I've also kind of shrunk myself a little bit. And doing the work that I do, I've recently had some awareness around it that stemmed from an earlier experience. And so I want to share this with you, and I share it because it resonates with so many people. So just see if you can see yourself in this story. Again, it's subtle, but it's actually not subtle. So when I was in grade 6, I was someone who stood out. I was good at a lot of things. I was on all the sports teams. I had lots of friends. I had good grades. Lots of things. I won awards and things like that. And so I was just being me, being a kid, just showing up as me. And that was my reality. And on the second last day of school, they handed out some awards, and I received a couple of those. And I was very grateful. And, one was athletics and one was citizenship, which I was really touched by that because that was something that the kids voted on. And so that was, yeah, it felt really nice to receive it. And again, I didn't think a lot of it. I just was grateful for it. And it was just being me. And I was acknowledged for that. And then the next day, the last day of school, my two friends usually come to walk with me to school, but only one of them came. And so I said, where's the other one? And she said, yeah, she doesn't want to walk with you because she thinks you think you're so great. And I remember and can still feel it slightly like a huge punch in my gut. And so apparently someone who maybe didn't get that award that wanted the award made up a not so nice story about me, saying something like, I said, it's too bad we all can't be winners, or something that I would never have said, and certainly not in that context. But nevertheless, it was said, and she heard it and she took that in. And so I don't remember all of the details, but what I do remember is it felt like a punch in the gut. And what I did do then in that moment was it was the end of grade 6. I was going to a new school in grade 7. And so I just said to myself in that moment, I can't stand out when I go to this new school. I can't, people aren't going to like me. So I'm not going to do that. Right. And so again, it was maybe not verbal, like saying that out loud, but it was basically what I now learned is kind of a vow that I took to stay a little bit invisible and small. And so I went to the new school and, I was still me and still had great opportunities and still showing up as me, but always dimming it. Right. So any compliments I received, I deflected them. I always stood out of I kind of, diminished myself or put myself down a little bit just to kind of make sure that I wasn't too shiny. And I always stood outside of the spotlight. Never, I always wanted someone else to be in the spotlight. Never let myself be there. And so, yeah, it worked for me. People liked me. No, people weren't, I mean, I'm sure people were still criticizing because people will always do that, right? But it wasn't something in my awareness. So it kept me safe, right? It kept me liked. It kept me, it was good. But I wasn't being fully myself, right? I was literally not being how I was. And so, and I kept doing that subtly for probably another 30 years, right? Without really realizing that. And so, of course, that then shows up in my business, right? And so, yeah, I'm not promoting myself too much. I'm not saying I'm awesome at what I do. I'm not, being in the spotlight as much as I need to be. I'm not marketing as much as I need to be, right? Because that feels big and shiny and too much. And I, have this experience of like, people aren't going to like me and they're going to judge me and they're going to criticize me, right? And so, of course, that shows up in my numbers, right? And in my business. And so, obviously now that's not the case, right? Because I have chosen to do this work and go deep and understand all of this. And so now, yes, I am on lots of speaker stages. I am in global summits. I speak across Canada. I charge prices that reflect the value of what I do. I fill my client roster, right? And all of those things are possible. I was still good at it like before, but I had this internal stuff blocking me. And so once I released all of that, I was able to call all of that in. And so I really just wanted to, again, share that piece because I share it all the time and I see it all the time in people, right? And if I didn't tell the story for a long time, because it's not this really empathetic, sympathetic story of like, I was picked on and bullied as a kid. I wasn't, but this is my truth, right? And this is what happened and this is how it impacted me. And I do see it all the time in especially women, but not only women, right? I don't want to be exclusive in any way, right? So if that's your experience, that's your experience. And so I am fully owning and honoring that experience for myself. And I hope that you will do the same for yourself. And so that you can honor it and then release it, right? Because we're taught to not stand out too much. We are taught not to toot our own horn. We're taught not to be too big for our britches, right? Or you're allowed to say you're pretty good at what you do, but you're not going to say I'm freaking amazing at what I do. But what I will say is that while people may like the more modest version that I'm good at what I do, they're going to buy from the person who has the energy of I'm freaking awesome at what I do. Right. And so you will know that for yourself. The people that you're drawn to, they are not walking. It's not about being arrogant and bragging and saying all of these things, but it's about owning the value of what you offer and who you are and how you can serve people. And when you embody that and you carry that, people feel that, right? And they're drawn to that. And so when you kind of work on this, you become more confident in yourself, your product, your service, your value. You become more magnetic, more charismatic. You start taking more actions because there is that embodied sense of confidence and value. And so when you take more actions, you take bolder actions, you get bigger results, right? You make bigger asks, you do the things that you were uncomfortable to do before, and you end up with different things, right? And so for my clients, that looks like being featured on big platforms or being on a stage or being published, right? Or raising the container, right? It's going from selling a $1,500 one-on-one program to an $8,000 group program, right? In terms of just allowing that value to be embodied and that energy of like, I'm freaking awesome and I can really help you with whatever it is that I'm doing. So again, whether for you that's a product, a service, a package, whatever it is. And so I really, again, just wanted to share these two pieces because these are absolutely key for you to allow more flow, more income, more money, more prosperity, more wealth into your experience. And though they may not seem obvious and related, as I said at the beginning, they 100% absolutely are. And I've seen it in my own journey. I've seen it with my clients' journey. And so I really just invite you to feel into those two pieces. One exercise I would give you is really capture, just for this last piece around your value, spend some time capturing the value that you bring, the value of your product, the value of your service, the value of your expertise, right? You're a whole package, right? It's not just what the thing you're selling. The thing you're selling is great as well, but it's also the experience you've had, the education you have. So really capture that in a way that I'm going to say write it, because in our head, we're just so fleeting in our head. We'll think about it for a minute and then we'll think about something else. So spend the time, capture your testimonials, capture the nice things people have said to you, about your product, about your service. Really have that so you can start to embody that more fully. And of course, obviously, this is the work that I do. And if you are interested in learning more about that, I'm going to share a couple of opportunities with you. But I do, thank you for being here today to hear this and be open to hearing these pieces. Right? This may not be something you've heard before. Maybe it is, but I hope it's not about hearing it to me. It's about you experiencing it and having that experience within yourself and that embodied sense, right, of what you want to shift so that you actually can call more in. I hope there was some resonance here for you, maybe in my story, maybe just in the little subtleties that I shared around how you may be diminishing your own light, your own brightness, your own shininess, and that hopefully there's a little spark for you to actually want to be shifting that. And what I want to offer as the next offer and the next option and the next video for you to watch is the I'm awesome visualization, because that's going to show you actually how much you embody your awesomeness and how much your subconscious mind is on board with feeling awesome and feeling that you're allowed to be shiny and that you're allowed to have great things. So it's the video is going to be in the guided meditations and energy shifts. It's the playlist below. And I'm going to walk you through a very revealing embodied experience that highlights how on board your subconscious is with your shininess. As always, I'd love to see your comments or takeaways from this video and maybe your experience of standing out or shrinking if you feel drawn to share that. I always love hearing that. And there's so many stories of people who have a similar experience. And so I think it's always nice to sort of be connected in that way and understand. And don't forget to subscribe if these videos are speaking to you. I do love having you along for the ride. Have a great week.